It's already been a day. We're 2 minutes late to the show. The thing is, if you're listening to the podcast, it's impossible to be late to the show. In a vast majority, thousands of people are listening on the podcast, the live stream. Dame, Kristen, not necessarily thousands, if we're being honest. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good day, Pete.
Dame, other than traffic and parking, what's my biggest bugaboo in life?
Come on.
Kristen.
Tardiness.
Tardiness. Being late.
Oh, yeah.
Being late. And so I am sorry. Jeremiah, thanks for your time. Jason, hello. Cheryl, good day to you. Do you guys want to hear a Pete's old story? Want to hear a Pete's old story?
Always.
Dame, have you gone to a dermatologist recently?
No.
You should.
Yeah.
Okay, Mom.
Well, here's the thing. So I'm a ginger.
Yeah.
And a former ginger, FG. And I should have gone a long time ago. By the way, I'm fine. I went on Monday. It was a delightful experience. Like, it was like, I don't know what was going on. It wasn't just because I was in a robe and there was 3 other adults in there looking me over with a magnifying glass. But it's just a good thing. And at one point in time, the doctor says to me, she's talking about my skin. And she was like, well, as your skin matures. I said, can I stop you right there? She's like, what's that? And I said, well, you can say age with me as ages. Like you can say, she was like, well, most patients don't prefer that we tell them that their skin age. I'm like, no. I need an honest conversation. My skin is not maturing, right? It makes the same dumb jokes it always makes. It's getting older.
It's decomposing, honestly.
Then in the next 3 days, what do? I now list my age as I've referred 3 other people to this dermatologist. I'm at a point in my life where I simply refer dermatology experts to my friends. That's who I am.
Did you call her by her first name?
No. She elicited the respect of like 1,000 years of schooling. So I called her doctor.
Good.
To be honest, though, Kristen, that's a good question because I'm more apt to call a male doctor by their first name and deliver the respect to a female doctor by calling them doctor. And I think there's something twisted about that.
I think if we examined that, we would find that to be true.
James?
Do you say doc or call the guy by his first name? If it's a male doctor, is it Rick or is it Doc?
This brings up another question. I would go Doc, but I'd also go Rick. Here's a question for you, Dame. A former mayor of a large city, mayor. Do you call them mayor still, or do you? I'm on a first name basis with this person, but at the same time, I feel compelled to call the person mayor, but they are not mayor. But you still call past presidents president.
Yeah, in fact, there's I sit on a board with a former judge, and we still call him judge or your honor, or it just keep on going with it. He earned that title, that respect, and so we keep giving it to him.
Kristen, I feel like you're gonna have a different stance on this one. I'm back to first name with the former mayor. What do you think, Kristen?
100%. He's not the mayor anymore. Well, and I think my answer would depend on how much older he is than you. If he's older than you, you just call him sir, and then that's good enough.
Pete, do you ever run into anybody that coached you when you were younger? Do you still call him coach?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the difference?
He signs his emails with his first name.
Okay.
Which I think is actually going a little bit further to say, you're in this quandary, and I want to help see your way out. Just don't talk about it on your show. It's basically with the oops. How are you guys? I'm kind of frazzled this morning. How are you? Kristen, you okay? I saw you just
I was coughing. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
you're fine.
Okay.
I didn't know. I thought we were gonna have a situation. I thought you were fanning your face. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Well, it kind of was, but we're good.
Dame, fresh off vacation.
Indeed. Refreshed, ready to go, ready for another vacation.
Dame, you speaking of dermatology, cardinal sin of the bald man on your vacation, and you sent me evidence. You didn't wear a hat or sunscreen on that crystal ball of yours, and you burned it to all hell.
I felt prey to the greatest mistake that bald men fall prey to, is which, hey, it's cool, it's overcast. And what are the chances I'm really going to burn today? Well, when you're outside for, 10, 12 hours, you still burn, even though not a speck of sun comes through the clouds all day. You still burn.
Kristen, did you catch the 5-minute and 20-second vacuum sound that just occurred?
I
Yep.
did. What's interesting is when it happens to Dame, it like kept him quiet after the vacuum.
Huh.
Can we wait a second? I blame most things on me because I tend to make a lot of mistakes. What if Dame is to blame? Did it happen when he was gone last week? Oh, dang it. It's your fault then, Kristen. All right. You guys are, dare I say, godsends. Because the complexity of my week put me in a position in which I did not have time to plan the show today. So this is like feeling like the previous 14 years of the show. So you guys really wrestled this thing into a great place, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I think it's just you setting us up in case it bombs. Everybody knows it's on us this time.
Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him.
Navigating Now ended yesterday.
Comcast.
R.I.P.
Comcast.
Look, guys, I don't know. I get an idea and I do it, and I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't really care. Yesterday, I'm okay with that series. I think it was a good series. Jo, who's on the stream here today, she sent me a text that she loves the series. Going to miss it. Yesterday was a really good episode, a good metaphor around bubbles and investing bubbles and balloons. I was like, okay, I can put my name to that. But it's over.
Going for some syndication now? Just live forever in syndication?
I don't have the time for that, unfortunately. Two pieces of news, not news to you all, just I haven't brought it up specifically. We are going to record at a different time, live stream at a different time in the next 2 weeks. Next week's going to be super hairy. And the week after that will be a little less hairy. I think we're going to have more dates. But next week, I'm guessing Tuesday, but I don't really know. It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
And then no stream the third week. Unless you two want to get together and mess around.
I'm on vacation.
Sweet. Okay. Boy, Records Roddy, Scott Roddy's like, no inside baseball. And what did we just do for the last 7 minutes? Batter up, pal.
Scott Roddy doesn't care for us.
No. All right. Before we get going, let's go Pacers.
Go Pacers. Yeah. Sorry, I have a fairly substantial spider crawling across the back of my desk that I'm keeping close eye on right now. But
It's fine. What's he going to do?
spin a web. Enchant me. Maybe he'll spell something in the web. I don't know.
You'll be fine.
Really good. You said spin a web. I'm like, why would he tell you a story?
Yeah.
That'd
be a yarn.
Charlotte's Web was so, Kristen?
Doesn't she die?
Yes. Spoiler alert. Hold on. We gotta have like
Come on, the movie.
Time out.
Wait, did you say the movie?
Okay, in school we watched like parts of it, but I wouldn't watch it because I knew that it was sad.
Okay.
You don't watch things that are sad?
Especially not about animals.
Boy, your algorithm on TikTok could get really messed up quick if you just stumbled into a couple
I
bad
just
videos,
don't.
sad videos.
I'm not watching sad animal movies like Marley and Me or like none of that. No.
Charlotte's Web's an elite book and movie. Really good. Here's something funny. I take obviously a bunch of 13-year-old boys to a soccer practice. One of them's my son and his friends, so not random. And somehow they started talking about Lord of the Flies the other day, just randomly amongst themselves. And two of them had read it and watched the movie, and my son had not. And to hear 3 13-year-old boys in 2025 talk about Lord of the Flies was the most interesting part of 2025 for me. One of them was like, dude, it's a banger. You got to read it. And Ted's like, oh, maybe I'll make time. And the other was like, oh, Ted, it's a really good book.
Maybe I'll make time.
I know. And I was like, who are these
What else do you
people?
have going on?
Summer book club, man.
Guys, I can't tell this story on the radio. I'll tell you later. But one of my carpool kids is the funniest 13-year-old on the planet.
And it's not your son.
Yeah, it's not my son. This young man is an icon. He had Mrs. Planner in tears last night talking about one of the things that he has. He's a prank guy.
Oh, no.
But not just a prank guy, multi-threaded, long-run pranks. He started a prank I can't tell you about it, but he started a prank in March of this year and unveiled it 2 days ago.
That's commitment.
Patience to let it develop. That's amazing. Now, Pete, the question everybody's asking themselves, were you jealous or intimidated by the 13-year-old?
No, I want it all.
Okay.
Mrs. Planner was laughing and Pete was like, get out of my house.
I was like, get out. Just get out.
I was crying too. He's so funny. I don't want to get him in trouble. So his dad may listen to this show. But just know, if I'm talking about your son right now and you're listening to your show, good friend of mine, it's the best. You should be proud.
Oh, no.
Dame, it's so funny.
I can't wait till after the show now.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, we got to get going. We're approaching 12 minutes. I don't know what we're doing. We're just going to start this show. I need a timer. Thank you for your notes you sent over.
That you just said you have no idea what we're doing?
Shh. I didn't look at the notes. Yeah. I may have replied back perfect without reading it, but I think it's good.
Love it, I think, actually.
I didn't read it. Here we go. In 3, it's been a week. 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we have the finest episode ever, a topic that I have passion around. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's Ask Pete. Ask Pete's all one word in this instance. And then we'll do some stuff. And the show is a financial show. We giggle and we teach you stuff, and it's good. If you want to learn more about the show, download a podcast called The Pete the Planner Show, or simply go to petetheplanner.com and you learn more about these two people, Kristen Elanius, Damian Dunn. Kristen, hello.
Hello.
Damian Dunn, hello.
What's up?
Total lie. There's nothing about you on petetheplanner.com. Chris, I don't believe there is. Is there, Kristen?
I mean, our faces are there.
Yeah, but that's not about you. No. Should we do some bios of you guys on the show?
That's okay.
We'll totally do it. Okay, anyway, here's what we're talking about today. We have a question for you, an interrogative. And dare I say, it's a rhetorical question that we do want you to spend some time on. Are you actually making financial progress in your life, or just busy with money? Like, are you progressing, or are you kind of just marinating? And that's what the topic is here today. So given that I'm an old gym bro now, like I am in the gym getting gains, let me spin a little web for you, as some older folks say. Just because you go to the gym doesn't mean you're getting stronger. You could be scrolling between sets or walking in circles around the squat rack. Same thing with money, though. So you paid your bills, checked your balance, maybe saved a little, but is that motion or is it real progress? And that's where we start today. So, Kristen, is it possible people feel stuck even when they're trying hard and they think they're accomplishing things? Is there a thing where they're just actually spinning around in circles?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to someone about their personal finances and they're like, we're just trying so hard. You know, I do ABC, or I've cut out X, Y, and Z, and I just feel like we're not making any progress. And it's like, well, are we busy, or did we actually cut out or add the things that matter? Because there's a distinction with a difference.
That's interesting, because where my first place my mind goes, and I don't know if we're supposed to go here, but first my mind goes is your life is going on, you're adding new priorities, and so you're adding more tasks, you're feeling like you're doing a bunch of stuff, but by not actually reprioritizing and eliminating the old priorities, you find yourself spinning around in circles, because the only way you could have made progress by adding new priorities is to deprioritize things that took your money. Dame, is that off base?
No, I don't think so. And I want to make sure that we point out that we're well aware there are periods in your life where you are just going to be on a financial treadmill. We talk about it all the time. And if that's the period that you're in, you can make goals around that period of time as well, just to make sure that you're staying on track, or you're taking care of business in that area, because you won't be in that forever. You'll start to get some margin here and there, and as you see those opportunities, you take control of them. So if you're at a point where it just seems like every dollar is accounted for and you're not pushing forward, but there is light over the next couple of hills, it's all right. Stay on that treadmill. Don't do anything to go backwards. And as soon as those opportunities arise, jump on them.
I buy that a lot. Am I echoing? I don't know what's going on today.
Okay.
I put bad karma out in the audio world. Kristen, go ahead.
You did. I was going to say that, if we relate this back to that fitness metaphor, when Dame and I were talking through this outline a little bit, I said, I feel like this is the equivalent of I was back in the gym this week, and because I'm finally feeling better, and I'm not in the gym to make any measurable progress right now. If this is your first show, I'm pregnant. So I'm not trying to have all these gains, or I'm not trying to reduce body fat percentage. I'm just in there because I want to keep my body moving, keep my cardiovascular health up. And that could be true for a stage of your financial life too. We call the daycare years, the treadmill years. So it's just important to note if that's a phase of your life financially.
I also started going to the gym because I looked pregnant, but that's a completely different issue. Dame, this treadmill thing is something you and I've been talking about, honestly, about as long as we've known each other. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about it, there's some natural periods that I can maybe offer, and then we can talk about the opposite of those. But sure. The problem is you can really easily get yourself to a place in which you can convince yourself you're in a treadmill year in which you really aren't. You're just not pressing on the gas. So perfect one that our good friend Kristen will be going through here soon are when your kid is born until they go to school. That is generally some massive treadmill period a year. Dame, do you agree, disagree?
100%. You're going to have all sorts of expenses that weren't part of your life prior to that. And you're going to find new ones along the way. And whether that's childcare or anything else that comes alongside of it, you're going to have to absorb those costs and dedicate dollars that might have been going towards other financial priorities prior to that, because that's what you have to do. And as soon as those start to free up, we've talked about this and given us suggestions, those dollars get redirected, whether it's childcare or whatever comes along with it. Maybe clothes, they don't become, something you buy every 3 months because the kid keeps growing. You can redirect those towards either getting out of debt, saving for retirement, 529 funds, because you've already put those dollars towards something. And if you start reabsorbing them back into your life, you're going to go backwards. It's going to be a little bit of lifestyle creep at that point.
Kristen, really good point from our cave correspondent, Damian Dunn. I'm curious for you, Kristen, this is not nearly as passive aggressive as it sounds.
Oh,
you're aware that the next 5 years of your financial life are likely to be a bit of a treadmill, right?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't, knock on wood, I don't think that our daycare expenses are going to be the same level as, the average person might expect. But I'm fully aware that there are line items in our budget that are going to enter. But the reality is, you guys, I want to have empathy for that. And I want to think realistically about that, but doesn't it just turn into a different expense as she gets older? Daycare turns into gymnastics, which turns into t-ball, which turns into does it ever really stop?
I'll say, at least it's been my experience. I know this isn't the topic of the show today, but at least once you got into school and the daycare expenses stopped, there was lesser expenses that replaced it, but there was a period of time in which you had some sense of relief.
Yeah.
And I will bookend that by also saying, now as a parent of 2 teenagers, we are back in the treadmill years. We are back. And I know Dame's probably back too.
Yeah. We've got, cars and travel and sports and all the things that come along with it. And it just seems like it's not going to end for another dozen years.
I will say, to the point of the show, motion versus progress, the period of time I believe will be the opportunity to go, progress, is that second honeymoon phase, the empty nester phase. I think when executed appropriately, you're making up for lost time. And I mean, for stability's sake, not comfort. If you exhale too much, you're in trouble. But I think a lot of people in that situation, Kristen, get caught up in the motion of it all and don't actually progress.
Yeah, it's when you have that financial exhale, so to speak, it's important to use those dollars for something that makes progress, particularly if you were in a phase of treadmill. So like the daycare expenses go away and it's like, okay, now we need to put these dollars toward things that increase our power percentage, not things that improve our day-to-day life or part of our discretionary expenses.
Good point. Here's what we're going to do after the break. Whole show today, if you're just joining us, is are you actually making financial progress or just busy with money? Progress is an interesting term. The connotation can mean different things to different people, which is actually the definition of connotation. Anywho's, after the break, here's what we're going to do. So what actually counts as progress? You know, to Dame's point, maybe it's staying neutral on the treadmill. That itself can be progress. We'll discuss, we'll debate, we'll giggle, we'll laugh, we'll be together. That's next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Little Spence makes it in. What's up, buddy?
All right. Do you want me to try and click a different setting and see if it fixes itself? Is it not any better?
Fine now.
I feel like I did something to the audio gods today because to get the show started, I was having technical difficulties. I'm the common thread here. It's got to be me. Man, I want to tell you guys this story so bad. Like I just like as Kristen was talking there, I kind of got in this little daydream. I was like, you guys are going to lose your minds.
Imagine that one of us was talking and Pete wasn't paying attention.
Not paying attention. Yeah.
What's that?
Story of my life.
Boy, oh boy. So much going on. Daughter got her license this Tuesday. She's out driving. She's out doing it. She did the most I just got my license thing ever. Drove from her job to her other job because that's what we do. One job to other job. Got to the other job and had a little extra time. She's like, you know what? I'm going to go to Smoothie King. Then drove to Smoothie King and then back to the job. I'm like, that's the sort of freedom you feel when you can drive for the first time. You're like, oh, I would like some crackers. I'm going to drive to the cracker store. Like you can do anything you want. And she felt it. It was kind of funny.
Good for her.
Eric notes that Dame got quieter when the weird noise happened 5 minutes in. Do you guys think this is an alien thing?
I think we plan around it next week and we're quiet from like 5:15 to see if it still happens with nobody talking.
Oh, so just dead air.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Love it.
It would be for the podcast, not for the show. We just make sure we have a nice little intro. I think everybody else would appreciate seeing if it happened with us or without us.
Have you guys looked at the market or anything to do with the economy this morning yet?
No. I saw a Wall Street Journal notification about oil prices.
I saw that the futures were down pretty significantly due to the attacks overnight.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Israel attacked Iran, and then Iran sent a drone attack back towards Israel. I said that right, didn't I? I'm just using words. Did I misclassify it? Anybody?
No, I think you got it.
To be fair, I only saw headlines, but I think that is representative of what I saw.
Yeah, this is about the least I've looked at the market on a Friday morning. So I'm just curious as to what's going on. Great. Let's do it. Show. Next segment. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show. This entire week, we are asking ourselves the question and we are posing it to you to ponder yourself. And I'm going to say R next. So it says, are you actually making financial progress? Are you just busy with money? Dame, I got to say here, talking progress, I used to be in sales. I mean, back in the day, if you're a financial advisor, you were in sales. Mm-hmm. And if you're a financial advisor, no, I don't do sales, then you're not going to be a financial advisor very long. So I was in sales at one point, and I've run a sales team, and arguably I'm still in the sales channel here at Your Moneyline. there is no more tangible situation in which a person can feel busy while accomplishing nothing quite like a salesperson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about, oh man, I swamped today. What did you get done? I did this. How did that progress what you're trying to do? Nothing, not at all. Not one bit. And I'll tell you, it's probably true of just about every role of like, you're just doing a bunch of stuff, but is it actually leading towards what you're trying to get done? Dame, you've been in sales at one point in your career. Do you buy that?
Totally. There's so much that we think is essential to what we have to do to make sure that we hit our goals, when in reality, it's more of a distraction or just things that we do to keep ourselves busy. And they can be very, very detrimental to long-term success of those goals. So one of the key things that we have to do is identify what we're actually working towards, and then the key components is going to help us get to that. Now, whether or not you want to use your own metrics or process to get there, great, as long as you've got something behind it to make sure that that's what's right for you. But if we're talking about finances, there's a few indicators that you can follow in general to measure whether or not you are making that progress. One that's real common that people lean into often, you'll see it online, is net worth. I'm kind of, okay. I mean, it's common, it's out there. It's a good number for you to know. I'm not saying that it's not, but there's too many things that are outside of your control in net worth that really kind of take it down a notch for me to really consider it a premier benchmark of how you're doing financially. Kristen, do you see that differently?
No. And I think the hard thing about net worth is it's not something that you should be measuring every day. It's something that at best you should be measuring on a quarterly basis. So to say, hey, I've made progress in my net worth from, let's go last quarter to this quarter. It's like, well, is that just because the market's up? Or like, did you actually make progress? So that one is really a long-term, a multi-year metric to know, hey, did I make progress over the last 5 years, for example?
This might be sorry, Dan. Go on, buddy.
One that we lean into more often than net worth is power percentage. It's a metric that Pete created 7 years ago at this point, roughly. And you know what? There's a lot of new listeners to the show. I don't know if we covered power percentage and what it is, or even like a snapshot for the new listeners, Pete.
Not recently. I'd love for you to do it, unless you were asking me to do it. But I'll say
you to do it, actually, Pete, since that's your baby.
Oh boy, my wife told me never to call work product of mine a baby. So Dame, can you please take that back so I don't get in trouble for your mouth?
I rescind my comment, and Pete had nothing to do with it.
I like net worth, and I like net worth more when someone has a negative net worth and they can see it get less negative. Like, I think that's actually more helpful than someone who has a positive net worth and seeing it get more positive. As I wrote a couple of weeks ago in a column, the journey from stability to wealth is interesting. The journey from instability to stability is iconic. It's so much more compelling to me. But to Kristen's point, you don't and shouldn't track net worth on a daily or weekly or honestly even a monthly basis. It's just a little cumbersome. So, I'll be honest. I think I was talking to the friend of the show, Paul Ashley, Peebs. Paul Ashley, years ago, we were at a lunch. And he's asked me, he's like, well, how should I do this? And I was like, I sort of just made it up on the spot over lunch. And I was like, I went back to the office, started writing around it. And here's what it is. How much of your gross income, so you take your total income, I make $60,000 a year, divide by 12, your gross income monthly is $5,000. Did it for you. Pre-tax, pre-benefits, pre-everything, $5,000 a month. How much of that gross monthly income is going to increasing your net worth on a monthly basis? And this is something you can measure monthly. It's something that, you shouldn't probably do daily, but as your bills and income comes in and out of the household, you can reflect on it. And Dame, my favorite part about it is that when something changes, when you got a new expense or you get a raise, and then you see the decisions you're making and how that impacts your stability.
Yeah, 100%. It's a wonderful tool because we love some instant gratification in our country, and power percentage gives you the opportunity to do that. It's all within your control. Net worth is a little outside of that. Great tool, but power percentage better. So I think you can still Google Pete the Planner power percentage and get some more insight into that on the Googles, maybe even Bing if you're so inclined to use that search engine. But power percentage, great. Another one, debt to income ratio. Kristen, I feel like we've talked about this more in the last year than we probably have in forever, and it all seems to be spurred on by you. I think you're a big fan of debt to income ratio.
I'm a big fan of it only because I feel like these conversations are happening more and more. I mean, in our daily work, our team just had this meeting about how we've seen more conversations about legitimate bankruptcy in the last 3 months on our team than Dame and I probably saw in the first 3 years that we worked at Your Money Line. And so I think debt to income ratio is really important because it gives an idea of how much of your income is going, well, it doesn't give the idea. It tells you how much of your income is going to service past decisions that you've made.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just said that. I was doing an event this week online and I take questions in the chat or whatever. 4 or 5 questions about bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And I have not had one in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I've had more calls in the last month on debt consolidation too than I have in the last couple of years too. It's just, it really feels like there's some big trouble brewing for a lot of people out there right now.
You know what's interesting about that? This is insight you two are sharing that isn't really being reported. It isn't. It is a leading indicator of what could come, but it's also to some degree a trailing indicator of what people have been through. That's so interesting. Do you think it's the student loan situation coming due again, or do you think that that's a different thing?
My perception is that it's that high interest rate unsecured debt is generally variable, and continuing to see an uptick in those interest rates increases the monthly debt service and eventually just becomes untenable. When I'm thinking about the specific situations we've talked through as case studies for our team, I think that's more of the reality of the situation. And I think we can attribute that to the fact that there can be reprieve from student loans based on your income level. It's just that the other debt service continues to climb.
Kristen, you have a master's in behavioral finance, or did I make that up?
Kind of made it up. My focus was in financial therapy. My master's is actually in financial planning, but
yeah, exactly. You have a doctorate in behavioral finance. So
Right.
with that, the details, talk to me about in 30 seconds, the emotional side of what should progress feel like.
Progress should feel like you're not thinking about your personal finances as often. It should feel like you can sleep a little better at night. It shouldn't take up so much of your mental bandwidth when you start to remove yourself from some of these factors.
She did it in 10. She's the queen. She's the queen. Let's do this. Let's take a break. And then, of course, if you are off track, we are at mid-year point, which is nuts. How do you course correct? What do you do next? Mid-year compass check. That is next right here on the Pete the Planner Show. Yeah, I'm Pete the Planner. I have a liberal arts degree, and I can't decide if my institution that I went to looks at me and goes, eesh, or if they look at me and go like, well, that's what you can do with a liberal arts degree. It's sort of 50-50 if I'm being honest.
I could see that.
From my side of things, as I've shared on this show at least once, I didn't even know it was a liberal arts school until my sophomore year. Okay, so that is true. But I also feel from my side, I'm incredibly thankful for that experience because it forced me to look at things from wildly different perspectives. And I do think it has impacted the way I think in a positive way.
Nice. There are a couple of famous grads other than you from your alma mater.
Famous grad, but thanks for saying that. There are a few. Mike Pence, vice president, former vice Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Former governor, ex-governor Eric Holcomb at the Hanover.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson at the Hanover. Jennifer Godwin, who was in that She was an actress, was in Big Love, and she was in that like Red Riding Hood sort of thing.
I feel like you're stretching now.
Speaking of Hanover, super quick. I've told you the story before of how Mrs. Planner saved me on the night before commencement from naming in my in memoriam in my graduation speech, because I was the commencement speaker. I was like, and this person died, and this person died, and this person died. But that person, in fact, had not died. That person was going to be sitting in the audience. And Mrs. Planner heard this the night before commencement. I was practicing my speech. She's like, whoa, what? And I said, well, so-and-so. She goes, no, that person's not dead. So she saved me. This week, weird story. I'm on a wine investment. Why, that was a weird pronunciation. Investment newsletter. I've actually had a guy on the show like 10 years ago. I've never made an investment, but it's an interesting newsletter, so I read it. It's about like buying Bordeaux futures and these different things. So I'm on this newsletter. I don't ever read it. I haven't opened one in 5 years. Got one this week, didn't care. Got one 30 minutes later, and it said, apologies. And I'm like, okay. As someone who is apologizing all the time, I got to read this. He was telling the story of a winemaker, and he said the late winemaker so-and-so, but the person wasn't dead. And so apparently the winemaker's family was shocked and thought the guy was dead. And then the guy had to apologize in this like big wine newsletter. And I was like, man, I'm not the only idiot in the world. It's great.
That's so bad.
Breaking news real quick.
Oh.
My son went in for some allergy testing this morning.
Allergic to cats?
Mild. He is allergic to soy, and I like to think he got that one from me.
Wow, Dave, that is breaking news.
Soy's
Ooh.
in a lot.
A little less edamame at the Dunn household.
Yeah, there's a quite an expansive list there that we can cover off the air, so we can mourn my normal life that was when I woke up this morning.
Exposure therapy. He'll be fine.
That's
just eat some more.
Was that a HIPAA violation that just occurred on there?
No.
Okay.
Nah.
You find it. Katie asked an interesting question here. I'm putting it on the screen so I can read it because I've got the eyes of an elderly man. Hey guys, in reference to what progress feels like, I think it's also something in your nervous system, regulation, calmness. Things won't always be sunny, but you're more aware of the behaviors behind why you spin the way you do. And that is a choice you can make to experience more of the same or practice something different, which is usually uncomfortable at first. Well said. I think, I don't know if we're going there, but I think it was an earlier question I was pondering of, hey, sometimes progress feels like hell. It's so hard. It is not gratifying. It is sacrifice. And I think Katie said that quite eloquently. All right. Let's play the feud. Kristen, what's that from?
Is it from Family Feud or is this a trap?
Dame, I would have bet my house she had no idea.
I would have said the same thing.
Kristen, there is no one I know that I personally know, and as well as you, I know you well, right?
Come on.
That has less pop culture knowledge than you. And that's a compliment.
That's so unfair though, because we just have different exposure of pop culture. Just because I don't know movies and shows from when I was dead doesn't mean that I don't know pop culture.
Time out. We've had this discussion, and I don't remember where I landed on this, but before you're born, are you dead?
Yes.
No.
I was dead. Was not
You
living.
didn't exist. Something that didn't exist can't
This
be
really bothers Damien. This one.
because it's not smart. You are a very smart person, Kristen, and this is not. It doesn't make any sense. It does not compute.
I'm going to regret this next talk path, but I learned something yesterday that it blew my mind. I'm going to regret this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So SHRM is a giant
Yes.
conference, Society of Human Resources managers. Yeah, sure. Something like that. Great organization. HR people are a part of it. It's a really good thing. They have an annual conference. It's a big deal. We got some people here going to it, to whatever. Always have unbelievable speakers. And it's giant. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people there. Dame, the two speakers for this year, the two keynote speakers for this year are Jason Sudeikis, aka Ted Lasso, which was supposed to speak last year, but had to cancel the last second. And then the next speaker is Joe Biden.
Really?
Yes. One of our guys told me that yesterday. I was like, what? And you're like, yeah. I was like, what?
You'll notice Dame and I had the same reaction.
I had the same reaction. Like, nothing about that. This is not critical. That makes no sense to me.
No.
Not even critical of Sherm. It's more critical. Why would he say yes?
No, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, anyway, like I said, I'm going to regret bringing this up, but I was like, that sounds like a really,
If we don't speculate and we stop talking about it, you'll regret it less.
Great. I don't actually have any speculation. I know you do, but I don't. I don't. I'm like, if you get into some robot theory here, Dame, I'm going to have to.
No. There's no
robot. Lee asks, what is the swig line update? We'll tot out. So you're going to see a double line around the block to swig. Still not compelling for me, but hey, whatever. Ian, who showed up late today. High profile people do random speaking engagements all the time. No, I understand that, Jan. I know. It's just.
Ian, I thought you had to leave early.
Yeah, Ian, get out of here. I'm just kidding, Ian. Let's go. Oh my gosh, we got to go. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Seriously. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show mid-year. It's mid-year. It's a good time to find out, did you make progress this year financially, or were you kind of just busy paying your bills, putting a little bit in savings, all those sorts of things? So what do we to do with this? Kristen, what are people dealing with mid-year? What sort of gets in the way? We're like fear, greed? Like what are we dealing with here?
Yeah, I think we just get comfortable in our routines. And, if you're doing a mid-year check-in to say, did I actually make progress? If you're looking at your debt to income ratio, your net worth, your power percentage, before you know the results of those metrics, if you haven't looked at them yet this year, ask yourself if you think that you're in a phase of treadmill. Honestly, because no one knows that except for you. You're the only one living your personal financial life, and say, okay, am I in a phase of my life where I should be able to make progress? And then let the metrics tell you whether you did or didn't. Don't let the metrics cloud whether you think you should have made progress or not.
My power percentage has gone down the last couple of years.
Same.
I'm not making progress. I mean, I'm not. I'm just not. I'm running in place at best. Yeah, I'm going backward. I'm just being honest. Dame, what about you?
Oh man, it's probably going backwards. I could get really cute and try and argue that there are certain things that I would count towards power percentage, but in reality, probably going backwards.
Dame, what you were going to say there, and I won't say it for myself, I won't say it for you, is that if you take your business interests and the value of a business, what you and your partner are involved with, right? Like you could say that as progress, and it's hard to argue against it.
Yeah, I mean, even though there are real financial ramifications to doing what we're doing, Mrs. Advice and I, it's not the type of activity that I think power percentage is really generated and intended for. So I have to be honest with myself and say that's good, it's moving us forward, but it's not the kind of activity that we're really trying to sniff out with power percentage.
The other part of this too, I mean, Dame, for me, and again, people love to listen to the show to hear about my financial life. I mean, people just love it, and the iTunes reviews reflect it. I get a modest pay increase every year. I mean, I'm nothing to the level of the CEO pay increases you read about for sure, but I mean, in line with literally what everyone else here at our organization gets. But that modest won't even always be the case, right? As the economy changes and you look at budgets and those things, that may not even be the case. So then if you think I'm already not making more progress than the previous years, if you're not careful, then you start lagging. And then it can get serious that way. Kristen, I got to think that's common, right?
Yeah. And candidly, it's really hard. I'm speaking from personal experience. It's really, really hard to take a step back financially when you were previously in a position to be making tons of progress. Like for us, for example, the home that we were living in before was way under the recommendation for housing spend. And so we had so much margin to put toward saving for the home that we're living in now. And then you take on a much bigger mortgage, a lot more of your income goes to servicing the interest or the debt on that liability. And I haven't calculated my power percentage. I'm going to be perfectly honest with the two of you because I know it's going to be bad.
Wait, not recently or ever?
Well, no, recently, because before my power percentage was like abnormally high because of the phase of life that I was in. And now I'm in a much more normal, so to speak, place with my expenses and my spend. And that's a really hard thing, is to go from a place of being above average, so to speak, to being in line with what we would recommend.
I'm now calculating mine on the air.
Oh.
Let's see.
I'm too scared.
Okay. I mean, worst case scenario, it's 27% right now.
Okay.
But it's probably 35, which is the basis of excellent.
Yeah.
Leave a review. Give the rip. But I mean, I honestly, I try to share these, I try to share the flaws more than anything. I also just want you to know that I do try to practice what I preach, and that's the only spirit of which I share. Dame, it is Dame, right?
Yeah, of course.
How do we audit where we are and adjust?
If you haven't, I mean, let's just make this another plug. If you haven't calculated your power percentage, it's a great time to do it. Look it up, find it.
Look it up. Do your research.
I can just push something through the interwebs to these people who are listening to us to try and help them figure this out. But Google Pete the Planner power percentage. It'll be there, and you can get a baseline for what your power percentage is, and then go back every month or quarter and see how it adjusts. The power percentage is going to give you a great indication about how those financial decisions you're making on a monthly basis are impacting your overall progress in your financial health. So power percentage, great place to start. Easy to move into a net worth calculation at that point if you want. And then that one, Pete, I think you said it earlier, that's not something you check nearly as frequently as you would power percentage. I know you and I have talked in the past, kind of an annual calculation, I think, for both of us at this point. I think that's, frankly, I don't know why I would do it more often than annual. Kristen, do you feel differently on net worth?
I think it depends on the stage of life that you're in. There were definitely phases of my life where any progress felt so good, and I wanted to track my net worth like on a quarterly basis, because maybe I was like, for example, when I was aggressively paying off my car loan, I was like, I want to see what this looks like. So I think as long as you have a healthy relationship with it and you understand whether the increases or decreases were as a result of your own efforts, it's okay to do it more often than that. But once you get into a place of like stability and consistency, annually is probably enough.
Yeah, it's a great point, especially to Pete's what he said earlier. If you're in a negative net worth point and you're actively working on eliminating that debt, reward yourself, update that net worth, see where you're currently at, and have a little celebration that you've got something closer to break even at that point. But the last thing I'll say is evaluate your financial goals. Are they still appropriate? Because targets change. They just do. Whether if you set a goal at the beginning of the year because you made it under the circumstances and the assumptions that were still viable at that point in time, have those changed, because there's no point in trying to hold yourself up to a goal that you don't have a reasonable shot at attaining. Go ahead and change it. There's no shame in moving the target just a little bit to make it attainable, to keep you moving forward and stretching to try and reach that financial goal. So if you don't have goals, create them. And good financial goal, by the way, Pete, is 2 things. What are those 2 things?
It is measurable.
Yes.
And it has a dollar, and it's got an expiration date.
Yes. Time bound and specific. That is exactly what I was going for. I couldn't have said it better myself.
I believe you did. I went to the Annals of History here. That's with 2 N's. And here's the origin. Damn, that was free. This is the origin of power percentage.
Oh,
apparently, I did an episode 120 of the podcast in November of 2016 that explored it, but I could have invented it prior to that. Then in February of 2017, I debuted it to the world in the most colorful paper on the planet, USA Today. And then the first search result that returns on Google about power percentage and Pete the Planner is from March 5th of 2017, and none other than the legendary periodical / newspaper, the Corpus Christi Caller-Times. It's the first search result. So needless to say, kind of a big deal in Corpus.
Yeah. Good job.
Corpus Christi, the land that is fertile for Pete the Planner. A weird situation that is. Anyway, all right, let's do this. Let's calm down. Kristen's going to take some melatonin. She's going to calm down. And we are going to come back with the biggest waste of money of the week. And the news is a big news week. It's a big news week. My hope is that Dame chose trivial stories that are more interesting than important, because that's how the show works. That's next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner.
Pete, I can absolutely do that. I've got some trivial ones. I've got some real ones. If you want me to lean into the trivial,
I don't care. I don't even care.
I feel like I should calculate my power percentage. I'm scared.
Do it. You don't have to share it with us, but you do have to share it on the air. I did tell you guys. Oh, Dame wouldn't have known this unless I told you. I told you on our 101 this week, maybe. So last Friday, in my workout in the morning, I tore my quad, the top of my quad.
Oh no!
And I don't mean a 4-wheeler. I mean like the muscle up there. And Kristen, this me sharing this with you is just basically permission for you to just laugh at me forever. Are you ready for this?
Were you ego lifting?
Oh, you're Marco Polo. You're close. Okay. So needless to say, I'm in the world of pre-workout. Okay. And if you don't know, pre-workout is just a bunch of caffeine and other things. It's just like it increases your endurance and your energy, and it lasts for 5 or 6 hours, which is why these shows have gotten better the last several weeks. But one of the things it did is I did a really hard leg workout. And then Kristen, I felt like I'd probably go for like 2 more hours here. So jump on the treadmill, put it at a crazy incline. I'm mountain climb. I'm going up. I'm in Nepal. I'm going. I'm going to be top of the Everest soon. And I'm just going. And I'm like, I feel like I'm 14 years old with boundless energy. And I take a step and I just feel this massive tear pull in my leg. So here's where the conclusion I've come to. I believe that pre-workout isn't necessarily amazing if it prevents your body from telling you, yeah, you shouldn't do that. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And you're really not supposed to be doing heavy cardio while you're still on the high from pre-workout. It's not good for your heart.
Okay, look, breaking.
Time out.
Didn't know that.
Like, it's maybe you're taking a little too much pre-workout because, like,
No, I'm not.
okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm
for
not.
your quad. So obviously you are.
No, I'm not. Okay, I know you have a doctorate in behavioral psychology with a specialty in electronic engineering, but I will say to you that I have checked with my physician, Lois, and it's fine.
What did your dermatologist have to say, though?
What did
Dane,
she
you
say?
should go to the dermatologist.
Why?
Because
Dan, you definitely should go to a dermatologist. Can I send you my lady?
Yeah, sure.
You better call her by her earned title. Okay. You ready to go? Eric's done that too. Dude, he's on the grind.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Can't really see the picture. Is he wearing a muscle shirt in that picture?
no, I think he's wearing like a vest with water, like he's on like a hike or something.
Come on, dude. That's how us athletes do it, man. Look, Camelback. 3, 2. Not ready. It's going to take a second. No, it's a backpack. Oh, it's a backpack. I have things to carry. I'm sorry. Very sorry. 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week, right here on the Pete the Planner Show, is the 2026 BMW XM label SUV. Typically, auto refresh announcements include new models. Instead, BMW is focusing its XM lineup for 2026 on just two: the XM50E and the range-topping XM label. The latter is the most powerful BMW M production model ever, with a hybrid powertrain combining a 585 horsepower V8 and 197 horsepower electric motor integrated into the 8-speed M Steptronic transmission. Holy,
Time out.
okay, I'm winded. Oh my gosh.
Because your heart rate's too high from the pre-workout.
Shut your lips. The combined 748 horsepower output, which is clearly on pre-workout, propels it from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 3.8 seconds with a top speed of either 155 or 180 miles per hour, depending on whether the driver's package has been optioned. Additional options include a frozen tanzanite blue metallic exterior color, 23-inch M light alloy black wheels, a high gloss black grille, and night blue merino leather on the interior. Pricing has been set for the German market. Release information for the rest of the world is yet to be announced. Dame, this is like an Easter egg for you because I think you're going to nail this. And I think Kristen is going to have no clue how much this costs. So, Kristen, what does the 2026 BMW XM label SUV that is speed dependent based on the driver's personal package, what do you believe the cost to be?
As a point of clarity, Dame, are these usually like pre-orders, like when the i8 came out, or is this just like a standard car that everybody's going to have access to order in 2026?
Good question. I think it'll be a standard car that you can you find either on a dealer lot or make an order for and not have too much problems getting your hands on one.
Thank you. I feel like that impacts the price. This is going to be $84,000 US.
Dame?
If it had a Porsche badge, it'd be an additional $50,000 over whatever the sticker is that BMW puts on it. 80 is hilariously low. I mean, I'm going to say 150, and that's probably low as well.
$212,500 plus is what it says. I guess it depends on the package.
Yeah.
Dame, what is in the news this week?
While the average S&P 500 dividend yield is a modest 1.27%. Would you have guessed that, Pete? The average S&P 500 dividend yield is 1.27%.
I think that just shows the changing nature of what's included. But I passes the sniff test. It seems low.
Anyway, MicroStrategy just said, hold my Bitcoin. The company unveiled a new Series A preferred stock. Ticker symbol doesn't matter because this is not investment advice. With a jaw-dropping 11.75% yield. Shares debuted $85, raising $980 million, which MicroStrategy plans to spend, surprise, by buying even more Bitcoin. That brings its total crypto stash up to 582,000 coins worth around $64 billion. But here's the fine print, because you know there always is, Pete. That sky-high dividend, totally optional. The company can skip payments with zero penalty and no catch-up later. So while the reward looks rich, the risk is very real.
Kristen, have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the scene where Matthew McConaughey is explaining the brokerage business to Leonardo DiCaprio over lunch?
Yes. And
He calls it, who's he? What's it? What's it? You know, that whole thing there?
Yeah.
What Dame just described of this security and the fact they can do whatever it wants, it just reminded me of the like, who cares? What's that? It's like this exact description of the craziness of this.
Yeah. We'll be waiting for the chest pounding and the little chant that you two will do. There it is.
It's like I've watched that scene. Like I'll just go and watch that scene and then just turn it off because like everything else because it's so great. I saw a commercial this week for Bitcoin that I thought was one of the best explanations of Bitcoin I've ever seen. Actually, it was a Coinbase commercial about Bitcoin.
Okay.
Possibly one of the best, very simplified explanations I've seen. It said, what is bad about the U.S. currency or the U.S. dollar is that it doesn't hold its value because when we get in trouble, we just print more.
Mm-hmm.
And Bitcoin, all that will ever exist exists. And so therefore that is a stay of value and that it can't be devalued by printing more. And I thought, in a way, that is actually a really good explanation. I don't want to say whether it's true, but whether that justifies the purchase or whatever, I don't know. But I feel it's a pretty simplified explanation.
That's why there's an argument to go back to the gold standard, or to tie the U.S. dollar to something tangible, so they can't just keep printing it. But I don't think Bitcoin's finished halving. I mean, our friend Dougie Deadlifts would be able to tell us, but I think there's a little bit more to come on that. I could be wrong.
I believe you're right, but I think what it's saying is there's a determined amount. We already know how many there's going to be.
That's
cool.
Yeah.
What else is in the news?
Turns out the internet might not be the best financial advisor. A new survey from the CFP board. Yes, the people who certify actual financial planners found that 57% of Americans say they've made money decisions they regret because of misleading online advice. The most common culprits: overhyped investment returns, bad takes on Social Security, shady tax tricks, and of course, crypto, because that's a great tie into what we were just talking about. Nearly 40% say they've lost at least $250 from bad advice, and about 1 in 5 say they've lost over $1,000. Younger folks are especially vulnerable. Nearly 2/3 of people under 45 say they've made bad money moves based on online info, compared to just 45% of older adults. But there's a silver lining. More people are trying to fact check what they read than they did 5 years ago, which is good because, as the CFP board puts it, popularity isn't the same as credibility, especially when your source is TikTok influencers with zero credentials but great ring lights.
Two things. Kristen, I have absolutely read something on a blog/investment site and then made a decision on it and have regretted it significantly. Number two, as a point of order, Dame, it's not certified financial planner from the CFP. It's certified financial planning practitioner. And I just want you to know that.
Not what I'm talking about, the CFP board.
As someone who knows 2 CFPs quite well, and by CFPs, I mean certified financial planning practitioners, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
That was a good use.
Can I say something that might be kind of offensive?
Please do. Let's get some ratings.
Some heat off you. Do I know that I trust the people surveyed who made investment decisions based off of less than credible information on the internet to know whether they actually lost money or not?
That's a pretty good point. It's like when someone who doesn't know something about a particular industry or concept, when they're told of someone, like if you're not an investing person, you have no idea. And I was like, hey, Warren Buffett says, I'm like, I've never heard of Warren Buffett. That person isn't credible.
Valid.
That's a good point, Kristen. Dame, you got one more quick one for us?
7.96 trillion. That's the estimated value of assets following model portfolios. In other words, ready-made investment templates designed by third parties in April. That record amount is up from 6.4 trillion a year earlier, according to data firm Broadridge Financial Solutions. More than 8 in 10 fee-based advisors in the U.S. are now using models for at least some of their client assets.
I believe that. I mean, that also says fees should come down because they're not managing individual portfolios. And you should see AUM fees come down significantly.
Except you have to pay for those models. And so if you're offsetting that, you're already taking a haircut.
Paying for models, right back to Leonardo DiCaprio. How does full circle moment for the show?
Yipes.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, that's it. Good luck with your life. Happy Father's Day, everybody. If you out there celebrating your dad or you are a dad, thanks for that. Send you good vibes. Good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is the show. All right, guys, we got to bounce so I can tell you these two stories because then I got to go.
Okay.
Valid.
Hey, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Thanks, dads. And thanks for all the moms out there that step in and act the role as dad in certain families. So we appreciate you too. So stay getting money.